voice today, and hope that's okay. So even if you stop sharing your video, that will be okay. That will kind of help me in having a good bandwidth. Thank you. And yeah, coming to today's session, today, Shamant, can you uh, allow me to share my screen?
Yes, Ella. Yeah.
Yeah, today's session is about agile prioritization techniques. Prioritization as a concept is very important in anyone's life. I mean, in anyone's personal life. How do we prioritize what to do? Should I go for MBA or should I go for masters? Or should I do some certification to enhance my career? If I want to shift my career, should I do something else? Do some trainings? Uh, and there are a lot of things which keep happening in our life. Should I go to Italy or should I go to France? How do you prioritize things? Prioritization is very important, and based on prioritization you have procrastination coming up to fight and tussle with prioritization. That's everyone's problem, and that has been a huge issue for everyone. And imagine what will happen in a software project. There are so many features to develop, uh, so much coding to be done, so much testing to be done. How do we prioritize what features to develop first, and which ones will go at the end, and which should not be developed, which should not be there in the software, even if it is required by users. There's so many things which go in the background when you try to prioritize things in a software project. And today's session is basically about these prioritization techniques. This can be used in Agile, it can be used in Waterfall, but I will tell you which technique is better for what kind of team and what kind of project. And yeah, so here it is, Agile prioritization techniques. If you have any questions, I mean, the way I conduct the session is like it will be like a discussion. I'll go through a slide, and then I'll try to ask for your inputs or anything which you use at your current work, or which, if you want to know further about that particular technique, we can dwell deeper into that. And about me, as Stavan said, I'm a senior business analyst at Davy Group. I'm ex-Deloitte. I did my bachelor's in electrical engineering from IIT Bhubaneswar. It's one of the topmost, not a university, it's a engineering college in India. And I did my MBA from Trinity College Dublin in 2017, 2018. I currently work for Davy. I've been with them for past 2 years. I think I'll be there with them for a few more years. I'm a PSM. I also completed my certification in PMI ACP. I have a few other things which I do at work, which are related to cloud, and I have a cloud certification and CRM certification too. You can reach to me. You can reach me at LinkedIn, Yalla Reddy Alur. If you type in Yalla Reddy Alur, I think that's only one unique name in the world, so you'll easily reach me. The host, Stevant, is currently pursuing his master's in Maynooth University, but he worked with Textrom Consulting, which is a Salesforce CRM partner. He's a PSM, he's a Safe 5 Agilist, and he can definitely reach at LinkedIn at Stravant 365. Today's agenda, we'll be talking about how is it different from, how is prioritization different in Agile versus Waterfall? And then we'll go through a few of the Agile values, and then why, when, what to prioritize in any project. We'll be looking at the terminology used in Agile prioritization. We'll be looking at a plethora of Agile prioritization techniques, and then I'll talk to you about the certifications in Agile. And there are a few bonus questions to help you prepare for your certifications if you're preparing for certifications, or to test your knowledge of this session. First and first, Agile. Currently, in our firm, we used to use Waterfall. We currently use Agile, full Agile model. But in between, we had hybrid too. So hybrid is basically a mix of both Agile and Waterfall. For example, Scrum Ban is a mix of Scrum and Kanban, but that's again Agile and a mix of Agile and Agile. Again, that's a hybrid model. Scrum Fall is a mix of Scrum and Waterfall, wherein the requirement gathering and the deployment is purely Waterfall, whereas design, development, testing is Scrum. So those kind of methodologies are called hybrid, whereas waterfall methodology follows, just like waterfalls, how they fall from the highest position to lowest position. We do requirement gathering as one complete session or one complete step. Only after we are done with requirement gathering, we move to designing. Only once the design is done, we move to development, and so forth. I mean, only after development there'll be testing. Only after testing there'll be deployment. Whereas in an agile project, all of the things will be happening in a sprint kind of model. It can be Scrum, it can be XP, but everything follows a sprint uh, format. In a sprint format, you kind of take few of the requirements, you prioritize them, you design those requirements, develop, test, and the final outcome is a small increment to the product. That increment is the outcome of that sprint, and every sprint will have such increments, and at the end you'll have a big product with a lot of features. The good thing with agile is you can go for a small mmf or mvp at the start. mmf is minimum marketable feature, or mvp is minimum viable product at the start, and you understand how the market is approaching the product. You get a lot of metrics at the start to make decisions around prioritization. Whereas in waterfall, you do not really have any prioritization. You do have at the start, like when you gather all the requirements, you prioritize the requirements which are a priority for the customer or the user, and then you note them down from highest priority to lowest priority. And you basically, when you start designing and developing, you kind of tag it saying these are the highest priority user stories for the or requirements for the customer. Whereas in agile, for every sprint you have a different prioritized product backlog, which will kind of tell you at that moment what is the priority for the customer. So you have multiple checkpoints to prioritize things in agile, whereas in waterfall, entire prioritization is done at the start. And it's kind of, the decision making, planning, everything ends at the start, whereas in agile, it keeps on coming at regular intervals. So what's best? Having decision making, prioritization, estimation at regular intervals, or having it at the start at requirements level? That's up to the organization to make. Even to be agile, you need the entire organization to be agile in a way that it follows the agile principles and agile values. If the organization is not following the agile values and principles, and you're trying to get agile in place of waterfall, the projects will go for a toss and it will be a disaster. So the basic thing before you start any kind of agile project is to try and have your employees get certified in agile so that they understand agile completely and try to implement agile in the way it was supposed to, instead of trying to mix match things that work for the organization, that kind of lengthens the project duration, and also uh, the communication will be a big hit. There'll be a lot of miscommunication rather than nice communication. Anything here with respect to prioritization? In agile, prioritization happens at regular intervals all through the project, whereas in waterfall, prioritization is done basically at the start of the project, and at the end, at deployment. Let's say some of the features which were supposed to develop the way it was supposed to but did not, you don't deploy them. So there'll be a little bit of prioritization even at the deployment, whether this project should go ahead or should be uh, rejuvenated to to shoot off to another project. So those kind of decisions will be taken at deployment. But from my experience, there are the only two places where there's kind of prioritization in waterfall, but whereas in agile, every sprint there's prioritization which is happening. Yeah, any questions here on agile versus waterfall? Did you understand what the prioritization means in both the projects? You can speak. You can ask me questions. If everything is fine, you can say yeah, it's fine, so that I can go ahead. Yeah, Sravant, Sravant, I can't track charts, so can you track charts and
Yes, Ella, I think we are good to go.
yeah, cool. Thank you. Now, before I talk about prioritization in Agile, I just want to talk about the values in Agile so that you understand what Agile values actually talk about. If you see on your right, you have four Agile values: individuals and interactions over process and tools, which basically says, hey, the users and the customers are important rather than the processes and rather than the documentation in some cases, rather than following a certain step of approvals for some of the requirements. A lot of big organizations have bottom up approach, top down approach on different things. With respect to projects, we always go for top down for approvals, and that kind of takes a lot of time. It's difficult to get time of project sponsor or the executives who are responsible for the project. So who are the best who can give us time? It's actually the users and the customers who we deal on daily basis. Should I give importance to those guys, or should I wait for approvals from the executives and project sponsors? It's common sense. I'll definitely go with the customers and users who want the product. So Agile basically tells that, hey, the users are the guys who actually use it. They actually know what they're using it for. So they are the best people who can make decisions from the business side of the software world or functional world. The second thing is working software over comprehensive documentation. What happens in waterfall is you kind of document all the requirements, blah blah blah, for 2-3 months. It takes bigger chunk of your time, but you do not have any working software for first 2-3 months, and you do not even know whether that software which you're building is actually market to fit. So to know more about whether the software is good for market, or to know whether the software is working or not, it's best to put your efforts into development and testing of the product which you're building. So that's what exactly the second value of agile methodology speaks about. You know, work on working software rather than documentation. The third one is customer collaboration over contract negotiation. This is kind of tricky, but it's actually, it depends upon the contract which you have uh, with the client. Let's say you're working for if you're working for a consulting company and your client is a BFSI or financial services company, and the financial services company usually work in traditional methodology, which is waterfall, whereas consulting companies they work in agile. So you have two different methodologies working, people who are from two different methodologies working together on a agile project. That kind of is tricky for both the parties to manage and lead. But you can have, instead of negotiating over contract, let's say the contract says build 10 features in 10 days. For example, I'm just taking an example there. And on 10th day, there were only 8 features developed, not the other 2. So there, each one of you fight tussle over the contract. It doesn't really make sense. The best way is to sit down with the customer and talk about, okay, out of 10 we developed 8, but these 8 are the highest priority. Our estimation went a bit wrong because of this and that. You know, talk to customer, work with customer to get things done instead of fighting over contract. What happens in future is, even if you step down or come down on a contract and give some free hours, it may end up in new projects because they would have liked working with you, collaborating with you. So few things happen there, but always remember, customer is important. Collaborating with them is the best way rather than negotiating the contract. And the last thing is what the entire session is about: prioritization. Responding to change or following a plan. What happens in a waterfall is you have a lot of requirements, you have a schedule, you have a plan, definitive plan. But what can I tell? If I ask you, what will you do in a year? You'll have a plan. I'll shift it. I'll move into a new company, or I'll do a certification. But what's the guarantee that you'll follow the plan? What's the guarantee that you'll follow your schedule? So there's no guarantee, right? What you can essentially do is, okay, I'll start on PMI ACP. I'll target 3 months. At the end of 3 months, you can say, hey, yeah, it's going well. I can schedule the exam. Or I can't schedule the exam. I need 1 more month. So you can give yourself a month, or you can write the examination right away. So you're actually responding to the change based on what and where you are. For example, my own case, I was preparing for PMI ACP, but PMI ACP was taking time. So I changed my priority to do PSM, and PSM I got it done in a week. So for me at that moment, PSM was of high priority than PMI ACP, though I was preparing for PMI ACP all the time. So based on where you are at that moment, you need to prioritize things that will help you get through few of the certifications. Or in a software project, you can move items which are in high priority to low priority, and move low priority to high priority based on the available resources, the available available resources, and the concerned constraints which are existing at that moment in the project. These are the 4 agile values. Always remember to give high priority to individuals and interactions, working software, customer collaboration, and responding to change. Any questions on this? And you'll have too many questions on agile values in PMI ACP, even in PSM and any kind of agile certification. All the situational based questions are around these 4 values, and you need to have them ingrained in your brain as well as in your thought process, to be honest. Any questions? If you can't speak up, you can tell it in chat so that someone can take a look, and then I can go ahead, move to another slide.
Yeah. Okay. There's a one question,
Yeah.
Yella. Prioritization is done at epic level after creation of user stories or when. So
Prioritization is done at multiple places. The next slide is going to talk about where we do prioritization in an agile project. Uh, you'll get more idea about that in the next slide, if that's okay. Cool. Then I'll go ahead.
yes.
So why prioritize? I've been answering about. I've been telling about things around prioritization, agile, and waterfall. I told few benefits. If you prioritize, you would know what to develop and what is important for the customer and user, so that they're happy and the software goes into production and all. But why should we prioritize? We prioritize to save money. To be as simple as that. We prioritize to reduce the risks. We prioritize to reduce the complexity, and to deliver value. Definitely. Let's say you got 10 items and 10 user stories or epics or features that needs to be developed, and you're talking to users, and each user is giving his own priority, and at the end you came up with 3 high priority, 3 medium priority, 4 low priority. Now again, you also have your developers to talk to, right? It's not just what users and customers want. And then you work with your developers and see, hey, these are the things, this is how the customer user wants it, and this is how I'm going to prioritize my product backlog. But what do you think from your end? Will you be able to deliver the high priority items at the moment? Because there may be a case where the infrastructure is not ready for the highest priority item to go through. There may be a case where you're still onboarding people. There may be multiple cases like risks and constraints with respect to time, scope, and budget. Uh, Even project sponsor is not yet ready to give a go ahead to the project. So based on that moment, you make a decision to prioritize. Sometimes the low hanging fruits, which are low priority, can become a high priority based on the operational constraints which the development team has. So as a product owner or as a scrum master, your duty is to make sure that these kind of impediments are resolved, and you work with both customers and developers to make sure that there's transparency. Okay, if you look at the picture on your right, you got prioritization, but before any project begins, you identify product vision. I want to develop a website to sell movie tickets. Let's just say let's just take that as a use case. That's our product vision. Identify business goals. To sell movie tickets, I need to have theaters, movie theaters on my website. I need to have movies that are playing in the website. I need to have payment gateway. I need to have a feature to have the users select the movies. I need to make sure that users has an easy passage from start to end till the payment. I mean, from selecting the movies to adding to the cart to paying. So there are few business goals that I'm trying to achieve. So those business goals are kind of use cases. Now, in this case, how do you prioritize your use case? What is a must for my website? Having the theaters is a must. Having the movies against those theaters is a must. Without those things, I can't start. Right? That is how you prioritize. What is must to have, and then payment. Yes, that's a should have feature. That's I mean here I'm just giving you examples, and there may be other things like, okay, when I click on the movie, it should play the trailer for me. That's a nice to have feature. I need not have it at the start of my development. I can have it somewhere down the line, uh, so that I'll have some resources to develop it later. But for me to start, I need to have theaters, movies. I need to have the infrastructure like cloud or SQL databases, whatever it is. So you prioritize those big use cases when you're identifying those use cases. Now, those use case again, Epic. Some might not know what Epic is. Epic is a big collection of stories, user stories. User story is a requirement at a granular level, whereas Epic is such a collection of user stories. In one of the projects, the Epics first was, the modules which are in the software, like I mean, I work in the financial services sector. We had modules around reconciliations, reporting, distribution. We also had cash management. General ledger. The few modules here and there. So our big epics, our epics were around those modules. Like reconciliations was a epic for us, and under that we had a lot of user stories, which were supposed to be built into that module. So it depends on project to project. In one of the projects for me, each epic was a page in a report because it was for fund fact sheet, which is currently currently live. So it depends upon project to project. Depends upon how teams treat things. So the terminology lingo changes from project to project to based on who you work with. So you need to create such epics, which are collection of stories, and the use cases drill down to epics, right? And then within epics, you have different user stories that needs different epics which needs prioritization. Even in these epics, if I take the website to sell movie tickets as an example, the highest priority epics would be around getting the infrastructure done, talking to theaters, getting them onboarded, uh, getting the movies that are playing on the theaters onto my beautiful website. That would be minimum viable product that needs to go in the first 2 to 3 sprints. So you can manage, you can prioritize those epics. So you can prioritize the user cases based on that priority. You kind of prioritize your epics, okay, which is again a collection of stories. And now uh, at the end, you have a big product backlog. We prioritize use cases, prioritize epics, and within those epics, you can prioritize the user stories that needs to go through. So you kind of have all the prioritization done from product vision before we start the first sprint. Some people call it iteration 0, but I personally call it a initiation phase, which exists in waterfall. It also exists in agile, but the case in agile is this particular product backlog need not be complete. The product backlog keeps getting updated as we go through project. So this can be, within a week, you'll have a good priority of user stories that needs development. And these user stories keep on adding as we go through sprint, keeps on getting prioritized. Now, before we start the sprint, we have a sprint planning meeting where the developers choose the items they want to work on. We have product owner in this meeting too. What product owner tries to do is he tries to get the highest priority user stories that can be done with a guesstimate on velocity into this meeting. Now, developers and product owner have few discussions, and they pick few of them. They throw some of them back to product backlog for a future sprint. So you're basically also doing prioritization here based on what's important for users, what can be developed by developers in the 2 to 3 week sprint. A sprint can be till 4 weeks, but here usually we go for 2 to 3 weeks, which makes it easy for developers, even for product owner and other people to manage with daily scrums. So you're again prioritizing at the start of sprint in sprint planning meeting. So, and then these sprints based on project, there may be 10 sprints, 20 sprints, 30 sprints keep happening. So you have 20 to 30 points, regular points where you meet and you prioritize things again. It's not just during these meetings, it also, I mean, during review also, in sprint review, when you develop a feature of the product or a product increment, the stakeholders, even the users who are attending the call or meeting, they would say, hey, for next thing, can you prioritize this? Because we feel at this moment that is important for us. So you got two points within a sprint, planning and review, where you do prioritization. Am I clear? And did I answer your question, which you had some moments ago? Shravan, can I go ahead?
Yes, yeah, Jubash is asked by Jubsha. He said yes, he's clear.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Anyone else? If you have any questions, you can speak up, or you can uh, chat so that Shravan can help you. Cool.
We can go. Well,
So if you see, I have 2 points here: Agile Prioritization Matrix and Eisenhower Matrix. These are not techniques, but these two form the basis of anything to do with Agile. But also remember, even in your life, this is what will help you in achieving your goals as soon as possible. Like on your left, again, as I was talking all the time, Agile prioritization is a trade-off, big trade-off. It's a trade-off between the cost and the benefit you get, the value you get from that particular feature or business case. And only product owner is a single authority. Only he can manage the product backlog. Only he's the owner. Only he can cancel a sprint too. So product owner has a big role to play in any kind of agile development. Okay. On your left, you have complexity versus value. If you see the four quadrants there: low value, low complexity, low value, high complexity, high value, high complexity, high value, low complexity. Which one of these would you go for if you're prioritizing? You can answer or you can speak up. Like in this case, I can ask Shravan too. Shravan, what do you think should be a high prioritized value if you are doing project?
sorry, I was speaking mute.
Yeah.
Do it now.
No, not on the right. On the left, you have complexity versus value. So basically,
Okay.
Agile says, it needs to be high value. Would you go for low complexity or high complexity?
Low complexity.
Yeah, low complexity.
Yes.
So when you're prioritizing, you go for high value, low complexity, and then you go for high value, high complexity because it gives you high value. And then you go for low value, low complexity, and low value, high complexity, you kind of may not do at the end because it's not adding any value. So basically, it's a trade-off. Am I getting a lot of value doing things with low complexity, low risk? That's what, or if you are trying for PMI ACP and PSM parallelly, high value is, though PM both are of same high value, but PSM is easy to, it's low, is of low complexity because it's only concentrated on Scrum methodology. So it's easy to do PSM, whereas PMI ACP is high complex and high value, so it takes time. That would be my second. So I'm giving my own life example there, how I decided what to do first. On your right, you have Eisenhower decision matrix. Here, again, it talks about what's important and what's urgent. There may be things which are urgent but not important. There may be things which are very urgent and very important. On the matrix, you see uh, high importance, high urgency. We do it right away. Do it now. Whereas if it's not urgent but important, you can decide. You can schedule a time. You can plan. So if you look at both of these matrices, both follow a similar template. They are trying to reduce the complexity as well as increase the value at the same time. And as I said earlier, low value, high complexity, I may not do it at the end. It's the same thing here. Not urgent, not important, not required at all. Any questions around this? How we trade off in agile projects? How and why product owner is a single authority and he needs to manage the backlog? Anything around this? If it's okay, I can move forward.
Yeah, we are good to go, Yella.
Cool, thank you. Before I go and talk about prioritization techniques, I want to give a bit about, things are a bit of terminology around agile prioritization. Personally, I have 5 such terminologies. If you see on your right, you have size estimate plan. That's the usual agile planning sequence. In the last call, we were talking about sizing and estimating. Planning was not important in that call because it ends at estimation. Whereas here, planning depends upon prioritization. So the third part of the plan of the agile planning sequence, and which is very important, is prioritizing at that moment what's important, what's urgent, what's of high value and low complexity. And this planning basically depends upon few things, which is these 5. Like minimum viable product. You would have heard this term multiple times with any kind of startup or within a big organization with any kind of product. So what's a minimum viable product is basically, hey, what features should the product have so that I can release it into the market or I can release it to the customers or users. In the case of a movie ticket selling website, the minimum viable product would be having the movies on the website and having the payment. Having the option of select booking the movie in the theater for a particular time on a particular day, and then paying the ticket. That's the minimum viable product. If that's there, I'll have revenue generated. Whereas the minimum marketable features, what this tells is what is that one single feature I can release and I can use it for marketing. In case of ticket selling movie website, the minimum marketable feature is a website with theaters and movies. You can easily say, hey, okay, that theater has this particular movie. There's a minimum marketable feature. So for me, if companies decide on what to release based on what are the minimum features that needs to be there to generate revenue, whereas they decide on when to release based on what is the minimum marketable feature that needs to be released, so that there'll be some kind of marketing that can be done on our product. Are we clear on this? Based on that, you basically do your prioritization on business cases and epics and all. And
Yes, Yella, yes.
yeah. Third one and fourth one and fifth one will help you decide, though they include some mathematical formulas and stuff, they help you decide whether our product or our project will be successful, will be profitable for us. For example, minimum viable product, it took me 100K to develop, okay, and I release it to market. Will I get my 100K back with that minimum viable product is what return on investment means. If I'm getting 125K back, it means, okay, I have a 25K profit on my minimum product. What if I add additional features? I'll have more return on investment. That kind of decisions can be made on return on investment. Whereas internal rate of return is basically, you have money in your bank. Okay. After 10 years, if there is an interest, you'll be earning interest, and that 100K will be 125K, right? That interest rate is basically internal rate of return. If I'm putting my money, like 100K in this case, into my project, will my project or product be worth 125K in future? Will it have a positive interest rate, or will it have a negative interest rate? If it is negative internal rate of return, your 100K now will be 80K in future. So there's no sense or no meaning to do the project. So return on investment positive, yeah, you can do the project. Internal rate of return positive, yeah, you can do the project. Even NPV positive, you can do the project. Basically, NPV tracks the cash flows um, that you will get through this product or project in future. If the net present value is positive, what it means is the future cash flows is higher than the, cash positives will be higher than the cash negatives. And you add it up to present day and say, hey, yeah, the net present value is greater than 0. So I'll be having nice future positive profits on this project or product. For example, if you go for opening a restaurant, running restaurants is really difficult, and if you run them properly, you get high profits. If you run them medium, you get medium profits. If you run them shadily, you don't get any profit. So how do you decide which restaurant to open? So you basically go to an Excel, you say, okay, this is my investment in first month, second month, third month, and you say, I'm expecting this profit in first month, second month, third month. And these two values will help you arrive at a net present value saying, yeah, okay, net present value is good. So I think I'll make a profit. I'll start a restaurant. It's the same thing with anything, starting a manufacturing unit, starting building a house too, and then even the software project at the end. Any questions on this file? Yeah, at the end, prioritization is really very different from estimation. In estimation, you estimate the work.
There is a one question from
Yeah.
Deepika. Estimation different from priority. How, please example?
Yeah, estimation, you estimate, let's say you have 5 high priority items. You estimate what each priority item takes, how much effort each priority item takes. That is estimation. You estimate in story points in Agile. Whereas prioritization is, okay, of these 5, they may have different estimation times, but what is important for me to go first? What's important for me to develop first? That prioritization comes from a value-driven decision making, whereas estimation comes from effort-driven development time. So value versus effort. That's how they're different. Hope I'm clear there. Moving to the next slide then. This is the important slide which you're all waiting for, and it took me 35 minutes to come to this. Sorry for that, but I just want to make sure that your basics are clear, the foundation is right. There's so many techniques, you can make your own technique, and I usually combine multiple techniques at my workplace to come up with a new one. You can't do anything, but um, even in actual business, they may be using 2 or 3 uh, in their organization. But I just want to show you everything so that you can make a decision based on the team size, your organization, agile. Agile levels. I don't know what's the right word. Agility, maybe. In this case, just go through each of them, and then you can make a decision or pick up for your own organization or in your own project. First one is simple schemes. Simple schemes is high priority, medium priority, low priority, or ranking the use cases or business features which need to develop, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's priority ranking. That waterfall uses it. In Agile, I did not see a lot of people using it when I talk to my friends. But yeah, it's simple scheme. You say high priority, medium priority, low priority, or if you're 10 user stories, you say, okay, that's rank 1, that's rank 2, rank 3, rank 4, based on your discussions during requirement gathering. Waterfall uses, most of the times waterfall uses this. When I was in Deloitte, the first 3 years I was in waterfall projects, and we used to have high, medium, low. We always used to focus on high, so that the business is happy. The second one is most famous agile prioritization technique, MASCO. It has an abbreviation suiting a city name. That's why it is famous. That's what I think. Here, what you do is you basically, when you are prioritizing at any level, even in the sprint level, you say, what's a must-have feature? What's a should-have feature? What can be a could have? And what would be need not have? Won't have is need not have. So must, should, could, by the word itself, you'll know what should go, what should be done, what must be done, what could be done. So it's basically you're prioritizing. Okay, must and should go definitely for my product, whereas could and wouldn't have, need not. You can eliminate them. Whereas could, yeah, you could if you can. So if you see, all these four tie back to these two matrices again. Must, do it now. Decide, you could, you should, but decide what time to do. Delegate, you could, which is again low value, low complexity, but you can do it in future, or you may not do it. Whereas delete would be won't. So all the prioritization techniques kind of fall into these two matrices that you slowly understand. That's what Masco is about. And I particularly use Masco in the start as well as during sprints to make decision for that particular sprint. Priority poker, you would have heard about planning poker in planning. Priority poker, again, similar concept. We use Fibonacci numbers. We use poker cards. Fibonacci numbers is 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. You basically add the last two numbers. We choose Fibonacci numbers primarily because it's a mix of, the mathematical reason behind Fibonacci. I may be wrong, but this is my own interpretation, given that I'm a electrical engineer. It's a mix of both a linear and logarithmic estimations, so that it makes sense to use Fibonacci numbers whenever you are trying to estimate or prioritize. In this case, same thing. We use those numbers. We use buckets of those numbers, and we put in those requirements in those use cases or stories based on where you are, and prioritize the user stories. Remember, whenever I'm talking about prioritization, it involves users, developers at different points in your project, which is, again, it can be at sprint level, it can be at project vision level, it can be at epics prioritization. Always keep remember that you can use any of these at any point to suit who you're working with. Like, for example, PRT poker, it's very easy to do this with developers. Whereas Moscow, it's very easy to do that with the users and customers. So you need to decide what to use when, based on what audience you have in that particular session. Okay, that's one giveaway. Always remember that. Monopoly money is, a monopoly game, right? You have fixed budget, fixed money, and you buy cities, you get revenue from those cities. As simple as that. Here, you have a fixed money for the each client, each customer, each user. Each user will have their own priority list, and they spend money based on what their priority is. Okay, they can spend all money on one single feature. They can distribute money equally among all the features. So once you have all the inputs from everyone, you will have a business features list with money against it. Everyone is given full budget, right? I give 10 people 10 full budget of the project. It's 10 times the budget, in essence, when you look at it, when you sum it up. Now, this 10 times budget is distributed among 10 features at 10 different ways. At the end, you'll have features with highest money and some with lowest money. Based on the total money, you can make a decision on what's important for all the users combined. And it's easy to prioritize business features. By in the name itself there, what I have in the wording there, when you are at the initial stage, when you are doing the business features like business goals and use cases, this is where monopoly money is very important, and even budget allocation happens at this time, when you have product vision. So monopoly money is best there. Monopoly money, basically you give a fixed budget to each user or customer to decide to place the money in buckets where they have features. The second one is buy a feature. In buy a feature, you actually give money and you tell them you can only buy one single feature. So you have 10 people, they bought feature A. Four of them bought feature A, 3 of them bought feature B, 2 of them bought feature 3, 4 of them bought feature, one bought feature 4, but other features no one bought them. So by this you basically understand, okay, these top 4 are actually needed rather than the rest 6. Rest 6 they can do without 6. Let's say if 10 people put 10 they bought each single feature themselves, so all 10 features are bought, then you can basically assume that, okay, there's no priority as such, but every feature is required equally. So that's basically a buyer feature concept. It doesn't work with the clients because clients say, hey, how can we buy one single feature? We want many features, right? But this will work for internal and consulting projects, definitely. Any questions on the top 5 prioritization techniques there? If you have any questions, you can ask me. You can chat there. I'll go through each of them again. 100-point method is a mix of monopoly money and buy a feature. In 100-point method, everyone gets 100 points, and they can place these points across features. And at the end, wherever you have, they can place it on one single. Sometimes I don't really understand what exactly is the difference between monopoly money and 100-point method, but in 100-point method, people use dots, and the dots are limited to only 100 dots, whereas monopoly money is actually based on your actual product budget. That's the main difference. But otherwise, the way you do it, you still use number of points, you add the points, and you get to what are the features or user stories which are very important. Monopoly money best to use in business features. 100-point method best to use in sprints. Easy to do. Even dot voting, again based on dots. It's similar to 100-point method. You get, but in dot voting you get very limited dots. Like let's say if there are 40 features, you only get 8 dots, and you need to place your 8 dots on across 40 features. So again, this is similar to buy a feature, but it involves dots, and it has a particular number, like 20%, I guess. So number of dots will be 20% of the total number of features. That's always there to get highest priority items. Dot voting, 100-point method, again best for at sprint level. At sprint level, you will be looking at product backlog and what to pick up from the product backlog. Dot voting will definitely, dot voting and 100-point method are best. They help you to prioritize within what is left, rather than looking at everything and saying what's important. Ranking, yes, we use stack ranking, similar to 1, 2, 3 ranking, but stack ranking is usually done at sprint level. These three are, next time when I do a slide, I should basically probably put in matrix and say which are best at what time. Sorry for the struggle now, but ranking also is best at sprint level during sprint plan, and even during sprint review. These 3 methods are best because those are easy to do and easy to understand. Keno analysis is again similar to Monopoly. It's done at business feature level. Keno analysis is basically it is 4 points. You have delighters, you have exciters, you have uh, satisfiers, you have dissatisfiers. I should probably get a diagram. Okay, I'll just put it there. I'll come back to Keno analysis. I'll open a whiteboard and show you that. I'll come back to Keno analysis. The third one, prune the product tree. You have the tree structure, right? The trunk is a must for it's the core of the tree. So the trunk, whatever features you have, when you are doing prioritization, you tell the users that okay, the trunk is the core area, the branches are medium. Features are important, and the fruits and leaves are low-hanging fruits. Those are nice to have type. So you ask them to place the user stories on the tree, and you'll have allowed them to talk to each other, have a consensus among themselves, and place them. Once the user stories are on the tree, now you come to the tree and say, okay, I see these on the trunk are the core tickets which you want, and those fall into high priority things, and then the branches one fall into medium priority things, and the leaves and all, those are low hanging fruits. They, even if you do not develop them, the users may not have any problem. So basically it's a simple scheme, but in a innovation game mode. It's easy, to give them user tickets with a stick tape, and they tape it on the tree. It's also engaging. Similarly, speedboat is also a engaging game to understand what features are very important. For example, if you when you are going on a boat, the more speed you want, the better. The more speed it is, the more thrill you get. What if you have an anchor? You are at high speed and you have an anchor thrown into river. It kind of gives you that big break, and everything falls down, and you may fall into the river, and it may lead to death if you're not know swimming. Similar concept, like which feature gives the boat high speed, and which feature may stop the boat completely. So you have features which are anchors, and you have features which add more speed. So based on what kind of feature it is, and at that point you can say, hey, this anchor thing is very important for me, because if I don't develop this, I'll not have any speed in future. Whereas in some places where you do not have any anchors, hey, if I develop this, my product will give me more return on investment. So I prioritize that. So you basically ask users, saying which are the anchor user stories, which are the ones which give more speed. So this is a nice game, to be honest, because most of the users drive cars and they're interested in racing, and they would have been on board, whereas anchors clearly tell you which are very important for the entire product. Any questions on speedboat and pruning the product tree?
We are
The Yeah,
no no questions, Ella. Yeah.
perfect.
Okay.
The last one is requirements prioritization model, where we have a matrix of benefit, penalty, cost, and risk. We place the user tickets. We don't place the user tickets. We give a number to each of the tickets based on, for example, okay, I'm going to a whiteboard here, and I'll be going through requirements prioritization model as well as Keno analysis. Stop sharing. Share whiteboard. Let me know once you can see my whiteboard there.
Yes. We can see.
Yeah. Requirement prioritization model basically works this way. You have benefit, penalty, cost, and risk. And on your left, you have feature 1, feature 2, feature 3. you basically give marks for this, like out of from 0 to 9. Each feature is 0 to 9. 0 being, I mean, if it's a benefit, 0 benefit means no benefit, 9 benefit means high benefit. Okay, you give marks to both for benefit, penalty, risk, and cost for each feature, and you basically add them up and then prioritize. Sometimes some people do weighted average too, weighted average between this by giving a different scale, like scale 1, scale 2, scale 3, scale 4. For example, in case of weighted average, this is how it works. I give benefit 9, okay, this 8, this 3, this 2. In weighted average, you basically multiply 9 into 1, 8 into 2, 3 into 3, 4 into 2 into 4, and add them up and divide them by 4. That's weighted average. So once you get all the weighted averages, you reprioritize them, and you go from descending to ascending with the numbers, and you will get the top ones are very important and the bottom ones are not. Am I clear on this? Because benefit, it needs to be high value. Penalty, if you do not have that, there'll be high penalty, so it should be high value. Risk should be very low, whereas cost should be low to medium. So you basically do a weighted average, you get nice numbers, and it's a mathematical way to decide what is best. As it includes numbers and stuff, it's not good methodology to have with users. It may be good when you are working with developers.
Yella,
Yeah.
Jupsha is asking, can you please repeat this model?
Yeah, sure. So there are 4 things in this model: benefit. Let me see text. Yeah, text. You got benefit. Okay. You got penalty. You got risk. You got cost. So you give numbers to each of them between 0 and 9. Okay. 0 is low benefit, 9 is high benefit. 0 is no penalty, 9 is high penalty. Risk, 0 is low risk, 9 is high risk. Cost, 0 means low cost, 9 means high cost. You give numbers to each of them, and on the left, you also have scales. What I mean by scale is, let's say in 100%, for me, benefit is more important. Like 40% is benefit. Whereas penalty, okay, I don't really worry about penalties. So 15%. Risk, yeah, risk plays an important role. So 20%. Cost is, yeah, it's important for me. Whatever left is, I think it's 25%. Now, out of 100% or 100 as a scale, you give within these 4, you give more importance to benefit and low importance to penalty. So you basically multiply like 40% into 9, 15% into 9, 20% into 9, 25% into 9, and add them up, and you come up at a value. Let's say in this case, 7.5. I'm just going with a number. So 7.5 into 3, maybe it's no, it's not. It's okay. 7.5, and you do this for all the user stories. So you got 7.5, 7, 5, 6. These numbers. The highest the number is, it means that's a high priority ticket. It involves, if you don't do it, it involves high penalty. It gives you high benefit. It is a high risk ticket, so you need to be careful. It's high cost ticket. It means that it's a core product. There are multiple ways to do this. Some people just do benefit versus penalty. Some people just do benefit versus risk. Some people just do cost versus benefit. To make it simpler, as I told, it's tough for users to understand this. So it's good at developer level, but I personally don't use this even with developers. Clear on this?
Yeah, he is clear.
Yeah.
Like this.
Perfect. Kano analysis. Basically, we have satisfiers, which satisfies the users. Dissatisfiers. If these are not there, sorry for misspellings. If these are not there, then the product cannot go. I mean, let's say you want to buy movie tickets online and you come to my website, it doesn't have payment facility, it doesn't have booking facility. That's a big dissatisfier. You will never come to my website. Satisfier would be, if you have a trailer, if you have a feature to run trailer at the movie level, that satisfies you, but it need not, because you can go to YouTube. Exciters. Exciters are Jojimos, basically the extra color you give to the product, like the nice colors, nice website, user experience. Those are exciters. And there was one. Dissatisfiers, exciters. What was the fourth one? Ah, dear. Okay, there's a fourth one. Basically, again, this follows the same concept of prioritization matrix, Eisenhower matrix. Sorry for that. Yeah, good. Yeah, that's about agile prioritization techniques, different things. Personally, I use Masco, I use Monopoly Money, I use a 100-point method, but again, at different levels and with different people. Okay. These two, I'm planning to use these two in my next project. It's just that you can't meet people in the office. That's making it difficult for me to use this. Next one is sorry there. I'll be winding up in next 4 minutes, if that's okay. The next one is basically about Agile certifications. Scrum Alliance has CSM and CSPO. In India, it's 25K plus for the training. It's a 2-day training. At the end of the training, you have an exam. You have another. You can give another attempt too. Whereas in Ireland, it costs 700 euros plus. Scrum.org as PSM, PSPO, both are good exams. One for product owner, one for Scrum Master. In India, it's 11K. In Ireland, it's 140 euros. So you can. It's an open book. You can sit at home and give the exam. PMI ACP, it costs 35K in India. It's a global exam. It's $495. In Ireland, it's 430 euros. It's a nice exam and upcoming certification. It's like a PMP, to be honest. Suggested rates, you can read Scrum Guide. And for PMI ACP, there's a book called PMI ACP Examination Prep by Mike Griffiths. It's a nice book. I learned a lot from the book. I would suggest the book. I would suggest the book to anyone who wants to implement Agile in their organizations. Any questions on certifications there?
There's a one question, Ella,
Yeah.
by Jubsha. Any books or study material for self-preparing for PSM and
Yes.
ACP?
Jufsha, even I prepared, it's self-preparation for me. I did not take any trainings. For PSM, PSPO, Scrum Guide is the best. You can do open assessment tests online. There are a few more websites where you can simply Google them, you get to them. Whereas this, I bought this book and I did a free course. I mean, for me, it was free because it's through company. There's a Udemy course by Joseph Phillips. It's a good course. I think Udemy is running some discounts. You need to look up on Udemy for PMI ACP by Joseph Phillips. It gives you 21 PDU hours. You need 21 PDU hours. And I would suggest you to buy this book online in India. It costs around 500 rupees. I guess I bought it in India itself. So yeah, those two will help you to do self-preparation. I do all my things on self. I mean, by self. I don't take any trainings and helps. Okay. This is the bonus I was talking about. First question, what is primary benefit of involving business representatives in prioritization of work? To proactively engage business representative between accepting test cycles, to answer business related questions about requirements, to promote communication about when features will be delivered, to better understand the business needs for the project. What is the right answer?
Can I go for Ella or
Yeah, anyone can go for it. Yeah.
to better understanding about the business needs for the project?
Yes. So think about agile values. Agile values is all about talking to business representatives so that we know the business needs and what adds value. So it's basically to better understand the business needs for the project. The second question, which of the following is not a recognized agile prioritization scheme? Prioritization based on business value, we do prioritization based on business value. Prioritization based on reducing risk, yes. I talked about agile prioritization matrix already. Prioritization based on iteration velocity, we don't. We always use risk and business value in all our prioritization. So the answer is C.
Jupsha put it. Ella, yes.
Yeah, perfect. That's good. How is risk related to value delivered? Anyone can answer it.
We will wait for audience to go for it. So
Yeah.
Yes. So Jupsha is saying D.
Yeah, D is correct. Risk is anti-value. Risk actually reduces value. So high risk items are anti-value. So you need to be very careful with them. The last question, Moscow and dot voting are forms of? Yeah, I think the intersection is about them.
Yes, got it.
Yeah,
Got it from Jupsha. Prioritization.
Yeah. Thanks, guys, for attending this session. I hope I made some impact through this training. Hope to see you in next session. Probably in the next session would be on Scrum, Scrum methodology as such. Hope to see you next time. Thank you. Thank you for being audience today. Thank you, Shravanth, for being the host.
Thanks, Ella. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.